And we are live. There we go. Countdown, right? I guess we don't have that big explosion like the other ones, but at least gets the ball rolling.
You know, and that's about life. We need to get the ball rolling because if you're sitting there as a stone, you grow moss on yourself and you don't learn anything and your body deteriorates. So
that is definitely something. All right, so let's just get into this. All right, so we have our market buying seminar 101, everything you should know about purchasing a property. You want to jump into it first?
Yeah, let's do this. So you thought about buying a home. Where do you start with your home ownership plans? Well, first you got to look at your current job and its stability. And right now, as we all know, and nothing is constant. So make sure your job is stable. Make sure it has good stability. Then you want to look at your future growth, your opportunity for pay increases. You also want to look at your budget. Where do you spend your money? Are you saving your money monthly? Do you contribute to a 401k? Do you even have one started? Do you have an emergency fund? Vinnie, did you know most Americans don't even have 30 days of emergency fund set aside? I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's being pushed to the test with everything going on.
Yeah, it's rough. So emergency fund, super important. And then what about goals? You're going to buy a home, but you don't want to neglect your other goals, your yearly goals, your vacation goals. And then do you have a down payment or do you need down payment assistance? Because down payment assistance is come back. It's come back.
I mean, there's something that, we say every one of our market updates and seminars is there's a difference between what you qualify for and what you feel is the ideal monthly mortgage payment, what you can comfortably afford. I mean, there's two totally different things. Usually, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually around 42% your debt to income. So 42% of your debt could go to your purchase right there. Yet, you'll be surprised when you look at basically where all your money goes on a monthly basis, and maybe you live a little more frugally than others, and maybe you don't. So it's really understanding what you can comfortably afford on your monthly payment.
And then know your ideal monthly mortgage payment. For those of you out there, you know what you pay for rent. Most of the time when you buy a house, it's usually about $1,000 more. So if you're paying $2,800 for rent, you're probably going to buy for $3,500.
All right, so how to finance your home and pick a lender. So you want to know your general budget, where you spend your money, and something we talked about, knowing that ideal monthly payment. Ask someone that is no referral, or if you already have maybe a realtor that you plan to work with, maybe ask them for the referral. Go on Zillow, go on Google, go on Redfin. I truly suggest at least talking to one to maybe probably two to three different lenders, even realtors, to figure out who's going to be the best resource for you, because there is a difference between one lender to the next, one realtor to the next. Look them up on Yelp, Zillow, Google, Redfin, whatever platform you can find for that lender. Look up their reviews, read about their reviews. I mean, maybe they might not all be 5 stars, yet you hopefully want a lot of 5 stars, right? There's always going to be the outliers in any kind of situation, but really dive deeper into the reviews. Now, if they don't have reviews, you want to dive deeper into that. Why do they not have any reviews? And then check the license number. Experience matters. High license numbers means rookies.
And you know what else, Vinny? Something else is in this current market. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but lending is at 300% capacity. And a lot of lenders don't want to work with first-time buyers, and they don't want to do the extra work to make it happen. So make sure you find a lender that's willing to work for you, willing to put the time in, and willing to really walk you through the first-time home buying.
Well, and you might be surprised too, if you talk to one lender and then talk to the next, maybe one lender might not qualify you, but another one will. There's some lenders that they have so much business, they won't. If your situation might be a little stickier than most, they might tell you, hey, hold off, wait until you're in this kind of bubble, and then we can look at basically your options available. There's grant programs. There's a lot of variety of programs out there. So just because one person says no doesn't necessarily mean you can't qualify.
100% true. That I'm going to agree with you. I would not just talk to one lender. I mean, talk to 2. You know, if you have to talk to 3, you know, go for it. That covers everything, because some lenders, unfortunately, are very lazy. So,
well, and to throw this in there, something to be very aware of too is rates fluctuate on a daily basis, and you don't lock in your rate until you get into escrow. So if you talk into one lender today and then one in 2 weeks from now, if you talk to one lender today and then talk to another lender maybe 4 months ago, and that person 4 months ago was giving you a rate maybe in the high threes or low fours, that's kind of where we sit. We're sitting in like the twos and the low threes.
Yeah, amazing. Good point, Vinny. Good point.
So something to be fully aware of. If you're going to talk to multiple lenders, talk to them around the same kind of window of time. Yeah, go for it.
Let's jump to the next slide. So now that you have a lender, what's your next steps? What is the lender going to want? Well, we're lending you a lot of money. It's not like a car loan or a credit card. So we're going to want more things. So number one, we're going to do a loan application. That means we're going to look at your job history for the last 2 years and your last 2 years of rental history. Next, your credit's pulled. This is a hard credit pull. This is not Credit Karma. This is not freecreditreport.com. It's not your Experian, TransUnion, Equifax free credit you get each month. This is a hard pull. Those sources will give you a higher FICO that is not truly representative of what you will get when a mortgage lender pulls it. Our mortgage pull is the hardest, and your score is usually the lowest. And for all you out there that wonder, oh, if I pull my credit, will my score go down? No. If you have a lender pull your credit 5 to 6 times in a month, yes, it will go down. But if you're having 5 to 6 lenders pull your file, there's something wrong there. Next, as a lender, we're going to review 30 days of pay stubs, 2 years W-2s, and 2 years tax returns, and 2 months bank statements. As you can see, we're working in twos. So
now, if let's say you own your own business or you have different things that don't line up with what we're asking right here, don't be scared off. There still might be possibilities that could occur. Now, when you're dealing with like the big banks, the brick and mortars, sometimes they want you to be in this kind of bubble right there. Yet there are a lot of variety of different programs out there that you could still qualify with. Okay, so just something to really think about when you're talking to a lender. And I can't stress this enough, is don't think by holding back information from your lender that they're not going to find out about it.
Yeah, we will always find out.
Okay, so in the easiest way, this is an analogy used all the time, easiest way to describe it, is the lender is like the attorney. They're like your attorney, okay? And the underwriter, the person that makes the final decision, is like the judge. So your attorney is trying to build a case why you deserve to be able to buy a property. And if you don't give them all the facts, all the information, how to sell your situation, they might not be able to approve you.
Good point. So something to touch on, Vinny, you mentioned, yes, all lenders not created equal. And for those of you out there that are self-employed, bank statement loans are back. I forgot to mention this on Friday, so my mistake, Vinny, I totally forgot, but bank statement loans are back. What does that mean? For those of you who own your own business and write your taxes off into oblivion so you're not paying the man, you can now do bank statement loans.
And if you're curious about the market, maybe you know about buying already, follow our market updates. We do that Monday and Friday at 4 o'clock, and we give you a full idea of the market. I mean, there's some very interesting numbers that are playing out currently. To give you one just number to kind of blow your mind, is we have basically the double the amount of properties under contract, under 700,000, than we do have active on the market right now. So, all right. So now that the lender has reviewed everything and shared your goals with agents, what's the most important to you? It's the monthly payment. Okay. Is it the location of the home? Is it the appreciation of the home? Is it the future rental value of the home? What's the most important about the loan? Is it the down payment? Is interest rate? Is the lower cost to close on a home? Is it the lowest long-term cost? Something that people get swayed about, and you see this on TV all the time, is, oh, we're offering this rate, maybe a crazy low rate. Yet you don't see in the fine print that you're buying points to get there. I mean, rates are at all-time lows right now.
All-time lows. Amazing. So, amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Maybe you might need to buy a point, get even better, and then you'll never have to refi, do anything like that in the future, possibly. But talk to the lender and tell them your situation. If this is your forever home, which the average person lives in a property 5 to 7 years, so sometimes you're looking to transition out. But if this is your forever home, maybe it is paying a little more upfront in closing costs, so you even get lower rates. But talk to your lender. And then with regards to the property, when you have that trusted realtor resource, okay, have your monthly payments already drawn out, okay, have a rough idea of the location, and maybe you know kind of what the feel you want. You maybe want walkability, you want this, you want that. Have your realtor kind of walk you through the different communities that might be possible for you, and then appreciation of the home. I mean, properties go up in value. Usually the biggest one, if you're not solely relying on the market, are going to be upgrades to the property, and this is the one, gentrification.
Oh, I didn't see that coming, but you snuck it in there.
David loves it when I say that. Gentrification is the idea that when properties are maybe a little dilapidated, a little falling down, people buy them up, investors quote unquote buy them up, renovate them, and then resell them at a higher price. That slowly starts bringing the value up in those different communities. So that's something that it's not necessarily on your upgrades, yet you'll see it based off of the community kind of being cleaned up a little bit.
And then just a quick touch on that right there. Down payment assistance is back.
Yeah.
And there's a major difference between the lowest cost to close the loan and the lowest rates. And a lot of people will call me up and go, I want the lowest rate. But they don't realize that that comes with cost. There's a difference. If you want the lowest rate, it costs more money. If you want the lowest cost to close the loan, the rate is higher. Make sure you ask these questions.
Yeah, and feel free, reach out to myself or David. If you have any kind of questions, we'd love to be that resource for you. Even if you're not looking to buy today, maybe in a year, 2 years from now, feel free to reach out. And future rental value of the home, we do basically investor seminars also. Right? So investor seminars are basically every other week. Right?
Oh, so for those of you who are asleep, we're doing a quick cameo appearance of my doctor. And so that picture right there is to make sure you guys are awake. And it's also, you're doing your pre-qualification correctly because you want to avoid your horror stories. What does that mean? The loan went bad. The process takes forever. The lender calls you at the last minute and says, you need more money. Or your loan doesn't meet guidelines. Or, sorry, Mr. Borrower. Or, sorry, Mr. Borrower, you need a cosigner. Or, strangely enough, like Vinnie mentioned before, the lender quoted you one rate and one set of costs, and then right before you get ready to close, everything goes up. Or those credit cards that you have, oh my gosh, I didn't pre-qualify you correctly. We have to pay them off. Make sure your lender does their pre-qualification correctly so that you avoid pitfalls, mistakes, and surprises.
Now, nothing goes as planned. I mean, we have a rough idea, a game plan that how to go forward. Just like in this buyer seminar, nothing goes as planned. We always get
the surprise doctor visit from my surgeon, my local surgeon right here, was not planned.
Yet
the doctor is in.
The more information that we have available, and the more information we have available for yourself and what's going on, the better it is to overcome those issues that could come up later on.
Thanks, doctor.
So there are many loan types out there, which we've kind of already alluded to. You have the FHA program, you have conventional, you have VA, and you have jumbo loans. I mean, there are other USDA, things like that, other programs out there. Really give as much information as possible to David or the lender, the trusted lender you decide to go with, and they can kind of help you what's going to be the best avenue. Sometimes you'll look at, okay, well, they go, I'm a first-time home buyer, so they assume FHA. Reality is there's conventional programs at 3%, and sometimes that actually might be better for you when you factor in PMI, things like that. So really talk to your lender and give them your full scenario of what you're looking to do, how much money you have to put down, and see what's possible.
Yeah, a lot of options out there. And, you know, the bottom line in there where it says jumbo is 10% down, I'm now, Vinnie, doing a lot of purchases for people for $1 million with 10% down. I mean, because unfortunately, a lot of neighborhoods now, they're $1 million here in San Diego, even though most people want to buy around 600K is about normal. There's a lot of options out there for you. Make sure the lender explores everything. Your VA now actually goes up to $3 million with no money down. Something to think about, like when we're going to do our upcoming VA seminar, Vinnie, we're going to put that together. A lot of special things going on for veterans. You know, Big supporter of military. Freedom is not free.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, when we talk about appreciation of a property, now we're going back for the last 5 years. Again, I mean, it's hard. I know most people use these ideas of go back the last 5 years, what's happening the next 5 years. I think that's a really tough pill to swallow right now, especially when you factor in kind of like the affordability index. In the 9 to 105 area means a lot of gentrification. Yet the market is a pendulum. It goes up, it goes down, it always goes back up. So even if the market does go down in the near future, it's always going to go back up. So really focus on the monthly payment. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Like you said, a lot of uncertainty right now, especially with the economy. If things continue to stay shut down, I think you're going to get some bad stuff in the economy. So
I mean, it's I mean, something, if you follow our market update, we kind of dived more into this in those, but we're so inventory starved in San Diego County. We have about 3,900 properties, which, to give you a reference point, last June we had about 7,800 properties on the market. We're basically about half of the inventory that we had last year. So we're very inventory starved, yet there's writing the wall that things are going to be coming maybe closer to the end of the year with forbearances and things like that. But we're going to have to get a big influx of new properties to really make a dent. So what's the average closing cost for a new home? Closing costs on average about 2.25% of the purchase price. Closing costs vary month to month. Closing costs can be negotiated by the realtor. Lenders can credit as well as towards closing costs. Now, something to think about. There's a difference between closing costs and down payment, right? The closing costs, we can actually roll that into the offer. So if, let's say, we're putting an offer at $500,000, the property's worth maybe $490 or whatever it might be, and we want $10,000 back, we can roll that into the offer. Now, the thing to be aware about in this market right now, it can be tougher. So it can also be something where you're selling points for your interest rate. So you're selling points to actually offset basic closing costs. So really dive deeper with your realtor, with your lender, what's going to be the best avenue for you getting your property accepted and getting the lowest monthly payments as possible.
And you know what we mentioned previously, if you look at it, the number of homes sold right now, it's almost nothing because the population of San Diego is like 3.2 million. Look how many houses we have for sale out of a population of 3.2 million. It's very small. So how you get your closing costs, how you negotiate the offer, all that stuff is huge. Always use that 2.25% as a rule, to know what your closing costs are. And, that's beyond important to know the difference between those two. But I think it's crucial what Vinnie mentioned before about housing market going up and down. We have the least amount of homes on the market for sale right now in a population of 3.2 million. It's about 1%. That's not good. So,
yeah. So, very important to think about when buying. So how long do you plan to live in the property? Again, 5 to 7 years is usually when people make a real estate transaction. Where you buy is important. It really helps with the resale and future rental value. Does buying a home still allow you to have a life and sleep comfortably? Can you still save money towards a retirement with this new home? I mean, all things to really think about when you're buying your property. Have a trusted game plan together before you actually go look at properties. Okay, I can't stress this enough. People buy off emotion. I mean, that's how properties are sold. People buy when they see a property, fall in love with it, and now their numbers of what they were thinking about buying at can change drastically. So understand what you're looking to accomplish before you get out to that property and take a look.
Vinnie, it's interesting you brought that up because how many times do you talk to a lender that says the buyer is pre-approved for $600,000, and then they fall in love with the house that costs $650,000?
Yeah.
Make sure you have a game plan. Make sure you know your payment. Make sure you know your expenses. Make sure you know you're planning for retirement. Make sure you plan on things going wrong because things go wrong. The only thing constant is change. And in life right now, there's a lot of changes going on. I didn't think I'd be wearing a mask all the time when I go outside. And now it's like I'm in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, it's not wear a mask. All right. Now, what is beyond choosing the best realtor? Now, you've already had a trusted lender. Maybe you already have the trusted realtor before. I mean, choose one, choose the other one. One person give you a referral, the next person. when you're, if you, let's say you're in the avenue trying to find the realtor, check the online reviews, check their license number. The higher number means newer to the business. Do they do this full-time or part-time? Do they own their own home? How many homes do they really sell? Experience matters. So this is one of the largest investments in your life. So plan accordingly. Something to really think about. Yeah, I mean, it's about 15% of realtors do about 85% of the business. There's a drastic difference from one realtor to the next realtor. So look for that 15%, look for that 10% of realtors in San Diego.
Which you are in, my friend.
Yes, I'm proud to be part of that group. And just know who you're working with. Know who you're working with. This is, again, one of the biggest purchases you're going to do. So plan accordingly.
And one other thing you may want to notice, just because their social media looks like they're selling homes and doing things, doesn't necessarily mean that they are. So please check the numbers. Please research it out, because just because you're good on social media doesn't mean that you're good at negotiating, selling homes, saving your client money, and actually getting the job done. So,
I mean, one of the things that I bring up is the idea that, let's say you're only doing, a couple deals a year, right? We all have that baseline of what we need to survive, right? Now, in real estate, if let's say the average realtor is doing 2 deals a year, 3 deals a year, right? That's very tough to survive off of. Now, if you're working with someone maybe like that, that's maybe been in the business but only doing that amount of business, when you're in transaction or putting an offer in together, are they focusing more on your offer, or are they focusing more on basically themselves getting paid? The same runs true with basically requests for repairs. Now, if there's issues or items that come about, the realtor has to be able to feel comfortable walking away from the deal, just like the buyer can. Okay, this is one of the big.
Be able to walk.
Yeah, be able to walk. So understand who you're working with, and make sure they're protecting you and not protecting their pocketbook.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I want to jump into this one. Now that you got the boring part of your loan out of the way, you got your real estate agent all set up. Now you get to actually go think about fun stuff, which the things you really want to consider now that you went through your goals, your budget, your payments. Now you want to think, what about the house size? What about location? What about the schools? What about appreciation? What about price? Which one of these is most important to you? Because all these different factors can get you a different outcome. And you need to know what is most important to you, because you can get a great big large house in a really bad school district for cheaper. Or you could get a smaller house in a fantastic school district for more money. So your agent's going to really help all these factors narrow it down. But if you don't explain to them what's most important to you, and these are some of the ideal factors, the agent can't help you as well make the best decision for your future.
Yeah, and if you're curious about the market right now, a lot of stuff has been going online. So there's 3D tours, video tours, things like that. We're actually going to have a virtual open house later today. So things like that are possible. Look on greatschools.org is, I think, a fantastic platform for schools to understand where you're looking to purchase in. And Crime Spot is, I think, another platform to really do a lot of online research.
Really awesome websites.
So what's next after all that? You write your offer. Okay, so you fall in love with the property, you put an offer in there. Now, everyone looks at the purchase price as the end all everything. There are factors that play out too, terms of the offer. Let's say you're working with a lender and they can do the loan in 15 days, 14 days, whatever it might be, right? That can be more appealing if the property's vacant. I mean, it can be more appealing if they just want to get out of the property. Okay, so if your lender is telling you it's going to take longer than 30 days, there's probably something wrong there. So be aware of that.
Probably so.
Now, fees being split. Now, generically, most offers are written up where everything's paid for the seller, except for half is paid for escrow is paid by the buyer. I mean, that's generically. You also want a home warranty. These are generic ways an offer are put together. Okay. And now, items to be conveyed in the sale, okay, or not. You have real property and you have personal property. Okay. So real property is like the building, the infrastructure, right? Personal property is like the table, the stove. Technically, this when the stove gets the refrigerator gets affixed to the property, it becomes real property. Yet there's always confusion there. So anything that can be perceived as personal property make sure you have it in your offer. Those are some of the toughest things when there's confusion at the end of the escrow. One person put it in there or someone forgot about it, and now it's not there anymore. And now we have an issue coming about. Okay, so understand what personal property you want to convey with the sale. Now, how much is the EMD? Now, again, David does everything to the extreme. Okay, so we have it in here 5%. You know, it's usually 1 to 3%. It's an arbitrary number, whatever the sellers willing to accept or whatever the buyers want to put down. Okay, that's really what it is. Sometimes you don't have maybe as much EMD because you're doing a VA loan or something like that. Maybe you can have shorter timelines, shorter contingencies, better price, whatever it might be, so that the seller feels more comfortable.
You want to increase your odds of getting the property, and the EMD is one of those things that can help you a lot. So I did put 5% down there, like what Vinnie said, is very aggressive and high. That is very high up there. But if your offer comes across the seller and says, I'm going to put a 5% EMD down, they think you're pretty serious. So it comes down to the negotiation skills of your agent, and a lot of them are going to guide you and tell you, hey, 1% is fine. Or with your offer, we could do 0.5%, or maybe you need 2%. That's why you really need that trusted advisor and the agent to help guide you with your offer to make it the most compelling for the seller to pick you. Ooh.
Right, so what happens next with your offer? Okay, so you can get a counter offer. You can get a multiple counter offer. If you do get a counter offer, a multiple counter offer, the terms are going to be changed a little bit. But the way to look at it is anything that's not countered out.
Vinnie, could you say what it means to people out there when it says multiple counter offers? Because I think a lot of people hear that but don't realize the real extent of that. Could you just touch real quick on that?
Yeah. So well, first off, the counter offer. Okay, so if whatever's countered, right, they're only countering whatever those terms there. Everything else in the original offer stays true to the offer. Okay, so that's one of the questions I get a lot is, all right, well, if they only counter this stuff, so that means the other stuff's good? Yes. Okay, so now if with regards to a multiple counter, okay, it's a little bit different. So the same thing kind of rings true, right? You give them the offer, they give a counter offer back. Now, even if you accept that counter offer, doesn't make it a binding contract, okay? So you actually have to accept or come up with a higher price, give it back to them, and then now they have to accept again. But with the multiple counter, instead of basically one offer where you're competing with, you could be competing with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, you can be competing with a lot of different offers, 10 offers. So it's really understanding who you're competing with and what's going on with the property. Now, congratulations, contract accepted. Now what? Escrow is open, instructions are issued to you for wiring EMD. Now make sure you're wiring to the right company. All right, now that could be an issue right there. There has been a lot of wiring fraud out there, so just make sure you're getting that from an escrow company. Lender requests fees from escrow and title so they can disclose the loan. Realtor helps in scheduling a home inspection, all their inspections deemed needed to protect you in the investment. Lender orders an appraisal to help you confirming value, and escrow you a package to fill out and off to the races. Now, something to really think about with the inspection, you're usually going to get a general inspection, get to kind of oversee everything, just like you get a general checkup. Now, if there's specifics with that inspection that need to come out, that's where you get a specialist to look into it. Okay, like electrician, plumber, things like that. And then with appraisal, this is another question I get sometimes. Well, I already have the bank sending someone out to the property to check it for me. Do I really need an inspection myself? The appraisal is looking at livability standards and pricing. Okay, they're not diving deeper into the property.
The appraisal is an opinion of value. If you read it, that's what it specifically says. And it's not dissecting what's wrong with the property. As a lender, the appraisal, we're looking at it to make sure the value of the house is there. And we're looking at it to make sure there's no health and safety concerns that could have potential problems for us. So it's beyond important, the appraisal. And in fact, in the current market right now, some appraisals are being waived, which is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on, what you and your agent are trying to accomplish. Because sometimes you go into an offer on your property, knowing that, hey, it's probably not going to appraise and we'll renegotiate it down later. And if the lender gets an appraisal waiver and there's no appraisal, your strategy backfired. So once again, another area to really make sure the lender, the agent, and you are all on the same page with your goals on each property.
Now, what to expect with the loans going on? So your home inspection is done. Now, I suggest going to your inspection. Repairs are noted and costs are formulated. Okay. No property is perfect. You just got to make sure the property is perfect for you. Just like with your significant other, another person. No one's perfect. You got to make sure.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You really rolled that in there. That was amazing. That was very seamless, by the way. I got to give you a hats off to that one. That was very smooth.
Thank you. So you're assessing the property and seeing what's wrong with it, what basically you want to get fixed. Now it becomes a second negotiation, right? Where you're saying, okay, can you take care of this, this, and this, or can you give me a credit for this amount? The seller will say yes or no. Hopefully you become a meeting the minds where you both can agree on taking care of this or giving a credit to that, whatever it might be. Sometimes during that avenue, you do need further tests, right? So maybe there's the plumber said, hey, the inspector says, hey, there's something wrong with the plumbing or something wrong with this, something wrong with that. You get a specialist. Use that in your negotiation to hopefully get some of those things taken care of or a credit.
Here we go. What to expect on the loan side? Well, like Vinnie mentioned before, once the contract's accepted, we have to get all the fees from escrow and title. Then we disclose the loan to you. We cannot start your loan until we legally disclose it. Disclosure means we're going to send you a bunch of forms via email to DocuSign saying, you understand you're buying a home, you understand there's a loan, this is the required down payment, this is the interest rate. We're initially starting the procedure. So once that's disclosed, you sign it, we review the documents that you already sent in previously. We may request updated new ones. We send your loan to processing. This is a term you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, your loan's in processing. That means we're fine tuning it before we send it to underwriting. Once it goes to underwriting, like Vinnie mentioned, that's more of a judge aspect. If your lender did not correctly pre-approve your loan and follow guidelines and make sure it is perfect, the underwriter will shoot it down, or the underwriter will come back and say, your loan is subject to approval with all these conditions. If the lender did their job correctly, it goes to underwriting. It should come out with a few conditions. We request the new conditions back from you. We get the appraisal confirming the value is there. Now we come full circle to having the package completed. Went through processing, went through underwriting, loans approved, appraisals there, the value is there. We now issue a closing disclosure. The closing disclosure is super important. That was started back in 2008. For those of you who don't remember, there was actually a recession then. If you don't remember 2008 to 2010, big recession and a lot of bait and switch stuff, a lot of bad lender behavior, and hence we started the closing disclosure. Closing disclosure means the figures on there are final. Whatever the figures say on the closing disclosure, that is exactly what it will be in closing. In 3 days. The closing disclosure has a 3-day waiting period, which means we give it to you, you sign it, acknowledging it. We wait 3 days to make sure you're still okay with everything. On the 3rd day, you sign loan documents. And then, we had a blackout there.
So and then having a little bit connection difficulty right now. But yeah, so the loan can fund and you are at the end of your home. Okay, so again, if you have any questions about what's going on, feel free to reach out. So I'd love to walk you through that. And I'm not really sure where the disconnection happened there. But again, if you have any kind of questions with regards to this.
It's as far as we know, there's no known COVID cases affecting internet streaming videos. But we could have just experienced that.
All right. Now is the process different and challenging market? Understand the price, understand the terms, understand the property. Long-term goals. I mean, something that we weren't really, I think it was hard to conclude was going to be that we weren't going to get as much inventory coming on the market as we usually do, and still having the same level of demand that we have had. That's been something that I think it was hard to really gauge on. Understand the market, shortage of inventory right now. Showing your properties are still happening, 3D tours, coronavirus, addendums that have to be signed before showings on the property. A lot of protections are put into place. So showings are still happening with the properties. So things are still happening. Understand the market. The documents that are required are changing on a daily basis, actually more of a weekly basis, but they're changing pretty frequently. Just talk to your realtor. They can kind of walk you through what's ideal in this time frame. And we are here to kind of help you with any kind of questions.
That was quick. I think we utilized everyone's time the best of its capabilities for Saturday, because it's 10:07 and your whole day's ahead of you, and you got lots of time to go do other things now.
Well, guys, follow our market updates, follow our seminars. We'd love to be a resource for you. This is our information. Any last words?
I'm actually, as you know, Vinnie, we're all into health, fitness, and expanding your mind. This is my new book I'm reading, Why We Sleep. So, if it's good and worth reading, I'll share it with everybody else, because we're all about trying to help people change their lives and make things better. And that's a big picture thing. That's not just buying, selling real estate. Me and Vinnie are committed to helping people health-wise, wealth-wise, and basically overall life-wise. And it's standard of life, and quality of life is super important. So we try and focus on all that as well.
And then follow my podcast, Road to Growth, all about overcoming adversity. Thank you, guys.